Welcome. Beautiful day here in southern Italy and the third stop of the 2024 Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series in Polignano a Mare, where the houses literally rise from the rocks along the deep blue Adriatic Sea. A stunning area. I'm Trace Worthington alongside cliff diving expert Joey Zuber. Thanks for joining us. Glad to have you with us live from the scenic Puglia region for the 11th season. The World Series has returned to this historic town. Joey, once again, the atmosphere is electric. The crowd's enthusiasm contagious as we gear up for another thrilling World Series competition.
I mean, look at that. It's a crowd favorite. It's one of the favorite locations for the athletes, and I love watching this competition. What a thrill, what an atmosphere. We are set for a great competition.
And we are getting set for both the women and the men. Fourth and final round. The season kicked off in Athens, Greece this season. 8 stops in total. Boston, USA with 35,000 spectators was stop 2 before here in Polignano a Mare. Causeway Coast of Northern Ireland is next before stop number 5 in Oslo, Norway. Montreal, Canada makes its debut. Their stop 6. Antalya, Turkey before Sydney, Australia. They'll host the grand finale of the 2024 Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series for the second time in 2 years. Physical and mental strength crucial as Heslop gets set to dive. A demanding season, Joey, which brings us to this next topic. How demanding is this sport as we look at Molly Carlson? Even for the top-ranked competitors, the last stop in Boston took a toll on the biggest names in the sport.
That's right, Trace. It is a very, very tough sport. You know, 85 kilometers per hour, massive impact. So we're looking at what happened in Boston. So Konstantin Popovich, and he's doing his big back arm stand dive. Now, a bit of an over-rotation. Doesn't look too bad from the outside, but underneath the water, it's another story. He hyperextended his knee. And again, a reminder, at 10 G-forces, that's what can happen to the body. And he is a supremely fit athlete. And Xanthi Panisi just struggling with some of the mental blocks. And this is pretty common in acrobatic sports. And we saw this with the likes of Simone Biles at the previous Olympics. And Catalin Preda with his new arm stand dive, back arm stand 4.5, under rotating, taking quite a hard hit on the chin there. And unfortunately, this means he's out of the competition here in Italy, but we're wishing him all the best and hope to see him back diving soon.
Well, the fans packed in here in Polignano a Mare for stop number 3. It's the 12th time we've had an event here at this particular location, the 11th season. Everybody coming in on rafts and paddle boards, kayaks, from $3 blow-up rafts to $3 million boats out there, Joey. So meanwhile, we had a handful of young divers make an impact in Greece and Boston, and also have a few young Italian divers in the mix here in Polignano a Mare. Joey, let's talk about some of the new guards with Martinez to kick it off.
Yeah, so Jolotl from Mexico, and this kid is a bright young star in the making, let me tell you. Great technique, great technical background, great technique on the dancing, as a matter of fact. Kaylee Arnett, the American, bursting onto the scene, gain a triple, puts it down. And what place did she get in Boston? Second. That's her first ever competition, and can you believe it? And that's why we'll see her in the remainder of the competitions this season. Simone Leathead, this is the first competition in Greece, coming in 3rd place, but as a matter of fact, she was actually in the running and could have even won that competition. The youngest athlete in the field at the moment.
Yeah, she's one to look out for sure, along with Elisa Cosetti in front of the locals today.
And the Italians always come with style and elegance, and this is her best performance in Greece. First competition this season, and coming in 4th place. So great to see the young guns and new guards diving so well.
Hey, might as well throw in Andrea Barnaba, the youngster on the men's side too. He's in 3rd place coming into the 4th and final round, Joey. But for those new to Red Bull cliff diving, here's a snapshot of how it all works and the 2024 competition format.
Each Red Bull cliff diving event features 8 permanent and 4 wildcard divers per gender. There are 4 rounds of diving with varying levels of difficulty. The panel of 5 judges has less than 3 seconds to evaluate the parts of each dive. The judges then award scores from 0 to 10. The highest and lowest scores are eliminated, and the remaining 3 added together. This total, multiplied by the degree of difficulty, gives the dive score. and all 4 dives are added together for the event score. Finally, series points are awarded at every event, with a bonus point for the best dive of the competition. At the end of the series, the divers with the highest series points are awarded the King Kahikili Trophy.
Simone Leathead getting warmed up, and in the 15 years, by the way, of the World Series, only 2 women and 5 men have earned the King Kahikili Trophy. 12 men, 12 women. We'll see the 4th and final round momentarily, beginning with the women. 3 rounds have concluded, Joey, including 2 rounds, or 1 round taking place off the balcony, the first round. So let's get everyone up to speed on how the women did in the first 3 rounds.
Round 1, my favorite round. We're watching Kaylee Arnett from America, and she led the way with a 3-way tie between Molly Carlson and Rhiannon Iffland. That's just such a great location to dive from, directly from the private residence. So currently sitting in 3rd place after 3 rounds of diving. Molly Carlson, this is round 2. We're back to the platform now. Intermediate round, just showing how technically proficient she is. And she had a slight slip up in round 3, but now she is sitting in 2nd place, coming into the 4th and final round. Beautiful shots as they hurtle their way down to the water. 71 kilometers per hour from that 21.6 meter platform. And then round 3, Rhiannon Iffland debuting a brand new dive. She tested it out in training in Boston.
That was awesome.
1.5
Beautiful.
triple. Running takeoff, first time debuting in the competition, nailing the entry. 8.5s from the judges. And now she's sitting in a familiar position, coming in as the leader, which means she'll dive last, coming into the 4th and final round. Beautiful slow motion action of the 7 times Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series champion, Rhiannon Iffland, the GOAT, no doubt.
And stepping it up with the degree of difficulty, with a new dive, progressing, and she knows it. Kaylee Arnett, Molly Carlson putting a lot of pressure on her. That is the women's platform down below, which is 21.6 meters above the Adriatic, 71 feet. The men's platform, 27.6, 91 feet. Judges, Anka Piper, she's the head judge. Sam Dorman's here, the Olympic silver medalist in diving, and Simone Latimer, the 3-time Olympic diving judge. Guillermo's son from Denmark is here, and Julian Lines from Spain also judged 3 Olympic Games. A very solid crew of judges. Hopefully they'll stay, maybe not get too seasick out there in that boat throughout the competition, Joey, but what a spectacular day. As you see the air, 36 degrees Celsius. It's a hot day, 96 degrees Fahrenheit. People want to know the water temperature, 23.6 Celsius, 74 Fahrenheit. The wind speed just a little bit breezy, not too bad. And again, dropping into the beautiful Adriatic Sea, which is salt water. Joey will talk about that, the density difference between waters and the different events as we look at a beautiful shot of Polignano, Mare, Italy, just on the Achilles heel of the Italian boot in southern Italy. Not a far drive from Bari and a short flight from Rome as we get set for the women's 4th and final round. Now, as we talked about earlier, 3 rounds have already concluded. All 4 rounds count. All the points are added together, so every single dive is important. Yana Netsiarava, neck injury, so she's a scratch. As we look at number 2, it'll be Madeleine Bayonne, followed by Ellie Smart. Needs to have a good competition, move up the rankings. And then again, see the top 6 after the 3rd round. Katwijk, Cosetti, the local Panisi back in the mix, and then the top 3. Kaylee Arnett's in there, and then Molly Carlson and Rhiannon Iffland always going head-to-head, toe-to-toe. We'll see how that unfolds today, but Kaylee Arnett has been mixing things up on the women's side, so look out for her.
No flash in the pan.
No, not at all.
Obviously had that great start in Boston, but coming here and diving great so far. But look at this beautiful location. The houses perched right on top of the cliff face. An engineering feat, in my opinion, as well.
So we will start things off now on the women's side with Madeleine Bayonne of France. Madeleine Bayonne, retired gymnast in her 4th ever World Series appearance, first French female ever to compete on the Red Bull Cliff Diving Series. So with Netsiarava out, it'll be 11 women in this 4th and final round. Kicking it off with an arm stand dive. Nice.
How to impress the crowds right off the bat. Here we go. Very steady, very calm. No sudden moves.
So Bayonne drops in, and we are underway with the 4th round of the women here in Polignano and Mare. And so Madeleine Bayonne said she loves the mental challenge of cliff diving, maybe found her calling here, searching for a bit more danger. Well, cliff diving, that'll do it.
Yeah, that'll do it. It ain't ping pong, folks. There is some risk involved with this sport. But let me tell you, when you're standing on the platform 21 meters up, that is the equivalent of, let's say, around about a 7-story high-rise. Just take a look down. That way you can get a bit of a feeling, a little bit of a feeling of what it's like to be a cliff diver. So that nervous part is always when you're standing on the platform. But once you're in the air, it's automatic pilot mode. Landing feet first as opposed to head first, and that is due to the height. So it's just too much height and too much speed to withstand the impact if you were going head first, like you would see in the Olympics coming up in France soon.
A lot of people in the water there. The safety diver's doing a great job. And Joey, she's walking on what we like to call the angry snake.
The wobbly worm.
The wobbly worm, whatever. You can make up whatever name you want. But that floating dock is one of the biggest challenges you'll see throughout the competition.
Well, it's pretty good at this event. I mean, the previous years, it was a nightmare.
Yeah. When the waves come in. But Madeleine Bayonne will wait the judges' scores. Remember, 5 judges, okay? You'll see it down at the graphic in the lower hand side. So 5 judges. The high and the low will be tossed. The remaining 3 multiplied by the degree of difficulty. So again, each round counts. So this 4th and final round dive will be scored. It'll be added together with the first 3 rounds for the grand total. So 5 5.5s for Madeleine Bayonne. And she will come in with a 2:05.35 as a grand total after 4 rounds of diving. As we go back to the top of the women's platform, again, 21.6 meters, 71 feet off the Adriatic Sea, blowing kisses to the crowd, is no other than Ellie Smart, the 28-year-old American. Been a rough start for Ellie, placing 11th in Greece, Joey, 9th in Boston. But we know she's a fierce competitor. There's still some time left in this season with 8 stops.
And she's pulling out the big guns for her 4th and final round. Orlando Duque, the sports director.
Yeah, does a great job. The legend and pioneer, Joe, you've dove with him all over the world. And he's, again, our new series sports director, World Series sports director. The guy's dove everywhere. So his job is to make sure all the athletes are happy, everything's safe, everything's flowing properly.
Yeah. Competition format, systems, progress. For example, the safety divers. And you can see Ellie Smart going through her pre-dive routine, doing her last visualizations. Visualization is incredibly important in all sports, as a matter of fact, but in particular for diving and cliff diving. Back arm stand, 2.5 somersaults, 2 twists, big degree of difficulty, 4.4. Oof.
So Ellie Smart with a heavy landing on that. Joey, break that down. We talk about heavy landings, a big splash in comparison to other sports.
Yeah.
Beautiful in the air. Nice degree of difficulty. Arm stand dive, super difficult. But then you have the splash to cap things off. You need the whole package deal.
Yeah, you do. So mostly it's about the takeoff. There's 3 parts you have to look at if you're a judge: the takeoff, the flight in the air, and the angle that you're landing in. Yes, and as a result, normally if you're off angle, shorter vertical, past vertical, you're going to kick up a big splash. Actually, I've seen a lot of the athletes under-rotating at this particular tour stop, and I'm not entirely sure. Each location has its different challenges. Sometimes it's harder to see the water. You might have a lot of reflection. Some people deal with the struggle between the contrast, the cliff face, the colors in the water. But pushing off the platform, 1.5 twists, coming out here, digging deep. I'm just trying to figure out why she may have under-rotated. She just left it laid out. In my opinion, at one point she needed to bend at the hips, make your body smaller, increase that or decrease the radius to pick up the speed. So she just floated the end of the dive and ended up pretty short of vertical, pretty low scores, unfortunately.
Yeah, 3.5s across the board as she'll keep. So when you add that fourth round together with the first three, 211.70. So this is not a competition that Ellie Smart, knowing her well, will be happy with, Joey. And again, this is the third stop of 8. So Smart in the fourth stop will have to kick things into gear. And look at a beautiful shot once again of Polignano, Mare, Italy. Along the coastline, stretching 800 kilometers, 500 miles. And remember to follow us on Red Bull Cliff Diving for all the stuff. And subscribe to our YouTube channel, Facebook page. Check out photos, videos posted over the past several days here in Italy. Of course, the Instagram page is We Are Live from Polignano, Mare, Italy. Trace Worthington, Joey Zuber. If you just joined us, we're just kicking off the women's fourth and final round. The platform up there for the women, 21.6 meters off the Adriatic Sea, 71 feet. And Mele Carpenter, you see her heart rate. That is a live heart rate, folks. 148.47. So you see that just fluctuate. Mele Carpenter, the American, who just missed the podium at the last stop in Boston, placing 4th. So no matter how many times, Joey, she steps onto that platform, it never gets easier.
No, it doesn't. Every time you get on the end of the platform, you respect the challenge at hand. I mean, resting heart rate for most human beings around, let's say, 60 beats per minute. And this is 153 beats per minute with no exercise. That tells you what the mind is going through before the dive.
So you can see it climbing now, 158. There's Mele Carpenter dropping in. What a dive by Carpenter. About a 158 heart rate. Beautiful dive. Grew up in Boulder, Colorado. Passion for rock climbing. She podiumed in her first ever Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series, only one of 3 women to do that, along with other fellow American Kaylee Arnett joins that club.
She podiumed in Boston in front of a home crowd as well.
Yep.
It's a very high degree of difficulty dive, 4.4 back, triple somersaults, 2 twists. And she's a multi-talented athlete, I would say. Aerial acrobatics, tumbling, trampoline wall, Russian swing, Chinese poles, sword fighting, rock climbing, gymnastics, diving, and cliff diving. That's pretty talented, in my opinion.
Yeah, very.
So some of the cliff diving athletes do come from different backgrounds, gymnastics and trampolining. And what an incredible athlete.
Hey, just
do so many different disciplines, right?
Throw in former NCAA Division I college coach and science teacher just to add to the resume.
She's pretty smart.
Mele Carpenter.
No, what an impressive athlete.
Yeah, she is. All right, she will take a walk to the town beach, Lamamanakile. That's the rock beach that all the fans are hanging at. And that's the exit point for the divers. Once again, all 4 rounds count. So this particular dive, you look in the yellow, 85.8. Then you see all 3 first rounds in white, 85 on that. 256.20 is the grand total for Mele Carpenter. Moves into the lead. So men's competition, 4th and final round for them is Aiden Heslop, sitting 2nd in World Series points. Winner of the last stop takes a stroll to the platform. That is literally the walk for the divers to the Labate home terrace where the platform sits. People just look at it and walking by. This is the real deal.
Go, hey, there's like a half-naked person walking.
Yeah, that wasn't a setup shot. That was not a setup shot. That is literally the walk to that platform that you see right there on the left-hand side. And you see the beach down below where they exit. They have to walk all the way up by that bridge back there and all the way around through the plaza where we just saw Aiden walking through. And it is a journey to the platform. Simone Leathead, let's talk about her, Joey. Making her 7th appearance ever on the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series. Came out blazing hot in Greece. We touched on it earlier. A 3rd place finish there. First podium of her career. Backed that up with a 5th place in Boston.
Yeah, I mean, how good is that? So I think current rank, right? What you said, yeah. 3rd position right now in the series rankings. Youngest athlete in the field. Just remarkable. But now it's time to get focused. It is the 4th and final round. Busting out the Edward triple half pike.
She's going quick. Look at that. Not much of a splash. Beautiful in the air. And Simone Leathead continues to impress.
Oh, you see the relief on Simone's face there as well. There's a lot of build-up before the dive. There's always that sense of relief for A, completing the dive safely, and then B, doing the dive well. So I do believe she knows she's done a pretty good dive, but the only people who can judge the dive is the judges. And then speaking of the scores, there we have it.
There you go. A bunch of 8.5s, a 7.5, and an 8. We have Sam Dorman in there, the Olympic silver medalist in diving, is one of our judges. As Simone Leathead will get a ride back to the town beach, Lama Manakile. But what a beautiful dive, Joey.
So in with triple half pike, and it's pretty common to actually have your feet come very close to the platform. Many of us divers in the past have actually clipped our toes on the platform. Watch how close it is here. You know, we're just talking about 20, 25 centimeters, something like that. And if you move too far back away from the platform on a dive like this, then with triple half, you'll find it very difficult to maintain rotation. So you need to be relatively close to the platform, but not too close. But like I said, it's not uncommon on that pike position to actually tip your toes at times. Great Crocs, by the way. Sport the yellow Crocs. Digging it, loving it.
The Junior World High Diving Champion with 13 national championship medals in more traditional diving has moved on to cliff diving now and doing a great job. Is 97.50 on that last dive. You add all four together over the past 3 days, and Simone Leathead will now have a big score of 279.90. So that'll move Simone Leathead into the top spot in the score to beat. Now Leathead is 4 to go of the 11 as we look at Xanthia Panizzi. Didn't have much training, maybe no training at all. That mental block you talked about earlier, Joey, we'll see how that affects her. But again, the walk to the platform and the very relaxed Kaylee Arnett, the rookie on the World Series wildcard diver, she gets set to dive. We'll see her later on as we get set for our next diver. As the fans packed in, thousands to see. I mean, they always pack into the Polignano Mare area for this event. I mean, everybody loves it. It is the home to European cliff diving as Maria Paula Quintero gets ready to launch.
So we've got the graphics on the left-hand side of the screen, and that will denote what type of dive they're doing, which direction they're going in. She's standing backwards. She'll put her arms above her heads and rotate in towards the platform. So this is an inward triple somersault in the tuck position, which is that ball shape. So arms above the head, set ready for the inward triple half.
Tearing through the water here at the Adriatic Sea. That depth, by the way, about 6 meters, 20 feet. Plenty of room for the divers. Talk about the safety divers down below, Joey. Just a reminder once again what their role is. We have cameramen down there as well. A lot of people hanging out down there.
Yeah, so obviously, number one, the safety of the athlete. So in case there's some kind of an injury, they're right in the water, ready to retrieve the athlete nice and quick. In addition, they'll also splash the surface of the water. We also have like a pump and a spray, and splashing the water will help the athletes see the surface. Let's bust the myth. It won't make it any softer.
Right, exactly.
You're traveling at 71 kilometers per hour, 50 miles per hour. Forget it, 10 G-forces. The little sprinkler's going to do nothing. Let me tell you. You can see the splash right there. Now listen, I thought the dive from Maria Paula Quintero was actually quite good, just slightly off angle, kicking up a lot of splash. You don't need to be too far off to make that splash kick up, but all around, I thought the takeoff was strong, good flight in the air, just unfortunate. There was a bit of a heavy landing at the bottom.
She just turned 24 this past week. Happy birthday, Maria. Feliz cumpleaños. Did I say that right? No.
Feliz cumpleaños.
Cumpleaños. Feliz cumpleaños. All right. Trying to get it straight. Look at that. Beautiful shot. That's a private residence terrace right there. The Labate family welcoming this platform on their home. Yeah, he's great coffee in there, by the way. Yeah, he does, really. I love that guy. And anyway, so this is the 12th event we've had here over 11 years as we we go to the next competitor, getting set to go. That's what we call the hot spot, the athlete exit area onto the Lama Manakile beach. All right, Jimeno Van Katwijk, wild card diver, 39 years old, of the Netherlands, 4th career appearance on the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series. She's married to Matt Cooper, who's another wild card diver on the men's side. 39 years of age, the eldest of the women's field. There's Matt right there. Finished 6th at the last stop in Boston, earning her personal best at that World Series. Now, she and Matt both do cruise ship diving and shows and exhibitions. You know, a lot of these people have different occupations on the side. We'll talk about that in a second, Joey, on maybe how that, you know, allows her to be a little less fearless in cliff diving. What's she doing?
Well, let me tell you, she's diving from 21.6 meters and 70 feet up. So forward, 3 somersaults, 1.5 twists. She's going to do a running takeoff. So she'll start behind the platform, run to the end. Why? That'll help her get a little higher, get a bit more rotation, make it easier to finish a number of somersaults and twists.
Kaboom! Nice job!
No kaboom!
Wow.
Boom.
Yeah, no kaboom. I know, I always say kaboom, but if you don't hear anything, there's no kaboom. You're right, Joey. Jimeno Van Katwijk, her husband Matt Cooper, loves it. And, you know, we talked to her about, like, this, you know, diving on a cruise ship, and it's like, you can get away with small mistakes, and the kids will go wild, and they'll go nuts, and be like, yay, that was really neat. But now you're in front of 5 judges.
Now it's time to put the pressure on. Exactly. You've got to perform, and you have to perform with great execution. And actually, she's taken a break, both her and her husband, Matthew Cooper, taken a break from the cruise ships to focus on regular high diving training in a controlled environment in Fort Lauderdale. So that's really paid dividends. She's been working with Steve LeBeau and, of course, her husband Matthew, and it's really shown.
Does she go feet first or head first in those diving shows?
Well, both. So usually those diving shows will have a combination of the springboards, maybe some trampolines as well, and then usually the finale of the show is the high dive. So many of us come from that background. I did as well. So I started in Austria in 1997. We had the skinny little tall little ladder. It looked like one of those cartoons, that little round pool diving into a bucket. I remember the first time standing on the platform, looking down that small pool. It looked like you would take one step and miss the pool altogether. But there it is, Jimeno Van Katwijk. You've got to be happy with that dive.
But when you're 27.6 meters, 91 feet above the water, feet first is going to be the most important thing, right?
Yeah.
Or the only thing.
Well, actually, it's part of the rules. You're not allowed to go head first, so it has to be feet first due to safety requirements.
All right, so the 39-year-old Van Katwijk with a 293.0 as a grand total after 4 rounds of diving, which have taken place over the past 3 days. This is the 3rd day. You see that beautiful bridge, historic bridge encompassing that narrow arches and just that panoramic shot of the village of Polignano, Mare, Italy, on the Achilles heel of the Italian boot. And remember, here's Elisa Cosetti, the 21-year-old. We talk about her in the next generation of young guns. This was round number 1. Look at this, Joey. Absolutely stunning. Beautiful.
Smoke in the dive, right on the ledge of the balcony, impressing the crowds as the sun sets over the beautiful waters in Polignano, Mare. What an experience to dive in front of the home crowd as well. That's fantastic.
Must be.
And they're so passionate, the crowd here. They really get behind their divers.
Especially here, the European home to cliff diving, Polignano Mare, the wild card diver, now the 2nd youngest female in the women's field behind Simone Leathead, and placed 4th at the first stop in Greece, diving in front of the Italian crowd in her home country. This is where it all began for Cosetti, making her World Series debut back in 2021, Joey, at the age of 19. Listen to the crowd.
Oh, yeah.
Perhaps experience is her biggest challenge in terms of not having diving experience on these platforms from time to time, unlike the veterans of the sport who have had those miles, right?
That's right. So, yeah, it's important to get the pipeline running and get that experience diving from the platforms. Some of the safety divers to splash the water.
That's what she's doing. She's directing the safety divers down below.
Yep. Not the symphony.
She's not dancing.
Not Madonna col Mondugno. Volare.
Needs an average of 7s from the judges to move into the lead. So Alyssa Cosetti, 21 years old, in her 4th and final round dive. Joe, you can break this down. You've been there in these like over-rotating dives and what that feels like and what that means.
Yeah, exactly. So over-rotating, going past that vertical line. Actually, I've dove here in the past, here in Polignano, Mare, and it's a pretty daunting experience. Sometimes it's very transparent water, looks really high, and you can make some miscalculations with your dive. You can jump off or take off and go too slow and under-rotate. But what I do like about this particular dive, she really went after the dive, but over-rotate, and you feel that. And sometimes you know it once you're actually in the air in the Barnaba, you're like, I'm over-rotating. And the over-rotation can stem from 2 things. Number 1, rotating too fast on the platform. Or number 2, where you come out of the dive. So perhaps I think she should have come out of that pike position earlier, which would have meant that her body would have been longer and could have slowed the dive down, and that probably caused that over-rotation. But that comes with time and experience, and you can dial that in. You see the more experienced divers, they know how to adjust, also for different heights. Sometimes you're at competitions where it's 20.5 meters, sometimes it's 20, sometimes it's 21, so it does vary, and you do need to make those adjustments, and that comes with time and air time and experience.
So that landing will cost her a few points from the judges, moving to 3rd with 276.60. She got into cliff diving after seeing an exhibition in her hometown. From there, she contacted the awesome Alessandro De Rossi to get involved in the sport. More on him a little bit as we get ready for the men's competition. He will not be competing this season, but we'll catch up with him on a quick interview. Once again, look at that historic bridge in downtown Polignano, Mare, encompassing those narrow arches, the massive columns, a beautiful shot of the bridge and the platforms. We're in the midst of the women's 4th and final round. So Xanthia Panizzi, according to our reporter Frosty, didn't see her train maybe at all this morning, Joey, getting prepared for the competition. Again, she had those mental blocks. We'll see what she does here. So Panizzi, 25 years old, 5th stop in Greece, but then withdrew from the final round at the last stop in Boston, stating that she was struggling mentally with her dives. She quoted on Instagram, "It's a crazy sport. Cliff diving requires you to be both physically and mentally strong, and you can't have one without the other."
She was actually wanting to do her new dive, back triple, 2 twists, and so she's just backed it off, and now she's just going to do back triple, 1 twist.
She's known to take her time on the platform, but she goes quickly. This time, great job by Panizzi getting over those mental hurdles. And usually she's on that platform, Joey, for about 60 seconds plus. We've timed it before, but her coaches must have said, get up there and go. This one, only 25 seconds.
Yeah.
Nice adjustment.
Exactly. And actually a really nice dive as well. We were watching the warm-ups, before we actually started the show, and she struck that she actually didn't get this dive off. So that's a great job. Also, number 1, she gets the dive off. That's really important to get back into the rhythm of the sport. She's overcome that hurdle and did a really good job of the takeoff. Great shot as she pierces through the water at those tremendous speeds. 71 kilometers per hour, traveling down to about 4 meters to 5 meters of water depth. That's around about, let's say, 12 to 16 feet. Half in, the half twist, that's the pike position right there. Coming out, looking at the water, there is the Barani. That is a trampoline maneuver, front somersault with a half twist. A little bit of a wobble with the arms. It looked like she was feeling like she was too fast. Put the arms out a bit and then brought them back in to finish the dive.
Now, in her intent with the post that I was talking about on Instagram, Joey, not to request sympathy or make up any excuses. I like this. She simply wanted to share for other young athletes not to feel alone when experiencing similar challenges, and that even happens to professionals. So I
Simone
really
Biles,
enjoy
last
that.
Olympics, like we were saying earlier in the show, like it does happen to a lot of acrobatic athletes. You're not alone, Zanti Panisi.
Just like that, Joey, she's in the lead. 291 for Panisi. So that'll help her with some confidence as Panisi leads the charge. We have 3 remaining. As you see, Arnett, Carlson, and Iffland yet to drop. Katwijk in second, the young Simone Leathead in third right now. Cosetti, the 21-year-old Italian, just off the podium, followed by Quintero. And there she is, Rhiannon Iffland, the 7-time Red Bull Cliffdiving World Series champion. She's won here 7 out of the 8 times. That's a record for both the men and the women in terms of how many victories at this particular stop.
Here we go, 3 more women to dive to finish off the 4th and final round. Kaylee Arnett from America.
She made her debut in Boston. 3rd ever wild card to podium in her debut. A fantastic competitor. That was the dive in Boston that sealed the deal right there.
Also a dive we've never seen before, reverse triple pike, very difficult skill.
What a great story. The 31-year-old Texas-born, now living in Las Vegas, making her 2nd appearance on the Red Bull Cliffdiving World Series. Been involved in diving since she was 8 years old. Recently finished 4th at the World Championships in Doha. I love her relaxed atmosphere, you know, her relaxed vibe, Joey. It's just cruising around, working the camera. I think it's working. Whatever she's doing, it's working.
Oh, she's having fun, man.
Yeah.
She's enjoying it.
She used to compete in rodeos.
And the Italians love it. We love it. This is great stuff.
Family comes from a line of daredevils. Her father was a stuntman or something, right?
Yeah, we're having a chat to him.
Yeah.
He used to do like car stunts in the movies, like rolling cars and crashing cars. I would have loved that as a teenager. That's great. But 3 more women to come. Got a big dive here. The only woman in the world to be performing a reverse triple pike. Other women perform reverse triples, but in the tuck position, which is the ball shape. Very difficult dive to get the rotation going and to maintain it in the air. This is not easy.
Oh, you want the Italians to root for you. Do a little dancing on the platform. That'll work. Great crowd here in Polignano, Mare. And you see the leader?
Whoa.
Wow! And the train keeps rolling for Kaylee Arnett.
Wow.
A wild card diver. 2nd World Series event of her life. And is making some noise, literally. And
Pumped
figuratively.
after the dive. Oh, there's no better feeling. I remember that feeling after the dives, especially when you're doing those difficult dives. There's so much angst, so much pressure on your shoulders to do the dive. And that's one of the reasons why you kind of get relaxed and calm and get in the boogie. Try and find your groove before the dive. There's the reverse. Now, little pike to the platform. And I did pick that up. I didn't want to say too much when I saw the long shot. The tricky part with this particular dive, if you push too far away from the platform, you will not make the dive. You won't have enough rotational speed. That is a little tight.
There's people new to this sport saying, do they sometimes hit the platform with their head or their feet?
Well, they do. And Steve LeBout knows all about that.
Yeah.
And that was in La Rochelle as well. Beautiful pike position, beautiful dive. Be pretty curious to see how the judges will judge the dive. I mean, it's strong, beautiful position, fantastic entry. The only question remains is how they'll perceive the closeness to the platform with the feet there.
5 judges score between 0 and 10. The high and the low are tossed. The remaining 3 multiplied by the degree of difficulty. 4 rounds of diving, they all count. So her 4th round dive weighs in at 98.40. In the white, you add it together with the first 3 rounds. Kaylee Arnett, 332, puts her into the top spot and now is guaranteed a podium.
Amazing.
2 for 2. The only other wild card diver in history to have 2 podiums back-to-back to start off her career, Rhiannon Iffland. So Arnett now in a very elite club. So Arnett, Panizzi, Van Katwijk, the top 3. So Van Katwijk will wait to see if she remains on the podium, but it's going to be tough with the next 2 divers ready to drop. It'll be Molly Carlson followed by Rhiannon Iffland. So again, a great shot, the Adriatic Sea, southern Italian coastline. The men coming up shortly. And you have Aiden Heslop doing some juggling. He learned that from the great Gary Hunt.
I need a harder challenge.
Great mental warm-up and physical warm-up. Get the coordination going. And doing it on a warmer board just to make it a little harder. 2 more divers to go. This is getting exciting.
It is exciting. So you see Kaylee Arnett already starting the party down there with Ellie Spart, but Molly Carlson, the 25-year-old Canadian, currently ranked number 2 in the World Series standings behind Rhiannon Iffland. Telling the safety divers to get a little closer. Winner of the first stop in Greece.
This is pretty intense stuff. She needs 8.5s from the judges. And
this heart rate. Now the monitor is underneath her swimsuit. 135. So this is a live heartbeat, folks. Live. 135. Not even moving. Going up a little bit.
As a reminder, needs 8.5 to take the lead.
Now it's going up. Another great dive by Molly Carlson. We've seen her come into the water a little bit straighter, Joey, with a little bit less splash. Always a smile on her face. Molly Carlson.
Now, sometimes there's a little bit of undulation, a little bit of movement in the water that can cause a few little, let's say, waves that lap against the body and cause a bit of a splash. But you only need to be marginally off. The things that I love about the dive and the way she attacks this dive is the takeoff. Really strong, really powerful. Such a neat, tidy tuck. And you can just see those arms actually opening up a little bit on entry. I'm not sure, maybe she felt like she was over-rotating just a touch. Let me have a look here. Image of her beautiful distance from the platform. Exquisite tuck. Just having a look here. Honing in on the entry, coming around, just stretching it out. Yeah, pretty good. Just a little bit hunched, but a very, very nice dive.
She only started 4 years ago in cliff diving. You know, a lot of the athletes are used to just being in the pool where it's nice and smooth and calm, right? So she's had to learn, you know, to be in these natural elements.
Yeah, and she did struggle that in the beginning.
A lot of 8s out there. 1 7.5. She'll drop to 7.5. She'll drop an 8. She'll keep 3 of them. So you see that right now in white. This dive, 88.8. So Carlson in second behind Arnett with a 3:27.10. So Arnett putting the pressure on the biggest names in the sport. And now Molly Carlson will have to adjust that landing just a little bit in the next competition, but always smiles on her face, always helping out the other divers. Great camaraderie as Molly Carlson will still grab a spot on the podium, but the fate of which color that medal will be in the hands of our next diver, Rhiannon Iffland. So Arnett, guaranteed second.
Yeah.
Again, Carlson in second place right now, Panizzi on the podium bubble. Now, Rhiannon Iffland, here she is, the GOAT, the 7-time Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series champion. She has won here at this location 7 out of 8 times, the most of any other diver, male or female.
Not bad. Not bad.
No. Today is her 46th World Series start, most of any other female. 36 victories and 43 podiums so far. That is record-breaking. And 31 consecutive podiums. You get my point.
I think so. I think the stats might have summed that up. But who she is, what she means to the sport.
But you know, you and I have talked about it. She's talked to us a lot about, like, hey, I'm getting older. It's getting daunting. This is being tough. This is tough on me, especially with people like Kaylee Arnett coming in fresh. And then she steps up and does that new dive yesterday. So she's still improving and progressing, Joey, and still remains the strongest competitor in this field.
She was very smart about it too, very strategic. So she tried out the new dive in round 3. But what she did was she tested it out in Boston. Didn't compete it in Boston. Was like, I'm just going to test this out. And then she came here and got some more repetitions done of that new dive.
Look how
she got great scores. But Rhiannon Iffland's in a really good position here. She only needs 6s from the judges to move ahead of Kaylee Arnett. And the odds are with Rhiannon Iffland right now.
Well, statistically,
it's, you know, just saying.
It's hers. It's hers. Something drastic will have to go wrong. But it's those 5.9s at 6 range, Joey, as you mentioned. Final diver in the women's 4th round. Rhiannon Iffland. So there you go, folks. Rhiannon Iffland. The Polignano Mare magic continues.
Another ridiculous performance by Rhiannon Iffland. Wow, so consistent across all 4 dives. Debuting the new dive. She knows it. The crowd knows it.
Talk about her background for those new to this sport, Joey. The trampoline background, used to landing on her feet.
Yeah.
You know, and being able to be in those positions and just get to this water. But what was remarkable about Rhiannon Iffland, you've told me over the years, is just the adjustments that she makes from stop to stop, no matter what is thrown in front of her. A cliff, a platform, rough water, flat water, dark water, clear water, whatever it is, she handles it nicely.
Yeah, and also she's a keen surfer. She understands how to read the waves, you know, in competitions like we've had in Portugal, very rough seas. She knows how to look at the ocean, knows how to gauge everything. So she's great with dealing with natural environments, great with dealing with pressure as well. She's used to being in that familiar position, diving last on the platform, being the front runner. And, you know, if someone else has done a great dive before her, like Molly Carlson, she knows how to perform under pressure. You know, she didn't win at the beginning of the season, occasionally, and then she comes back and says, wait here, watch what I got next. Resets, recalibrates, learns a new dive, puts it down, dials it in. And
Kaylee Arnett she's celebrating another podium finish.
Another second
place, because we know what's going to happen here with the judges, and it is very accurate. 8.5s and 8. She'll drop the high and the low, and Rhiannon Iffland has done it again. 112.20 on that dive, 367.20. The GOAT continues to roll along. Another victory. And as I mentioned, the Polignano Mare magic continues for Iffland and Joey. No optical illusion here. It is all very real.
Real it is. Keeping it real. One of the toughest sports in the world, redbull cliff diving. They deal with all kinds of challenges. It's not just the height, it's not just the dives. It can be windy, it can be rainy. Strong waves. We've got Ireland coming up. Who knows what will happen in Ireland as well. Or Northern Ireland, I should say.
What an incredible competition. Rhiannon Iffland, the first round. Remember, all 4 rounds count, and she is so consistent across the board. Now her 37th win, an 81% winning ratio.
And we're talking about before, you mentioned about the trampolining background and the diving background. So the combination of high performance trampolining, where they're accustomed to landing feet first, and there's a particular skill from trampolining, which is this. That is a Barani. Front somersault with a half twist. They do that over and over. She's done that thousands, tens of thousands of times on a trampoline. And then she transferred over to the sport of diving. And so those two disciplines combined with raw talent makes her one of the best cliff divers, or one of the best, the best cliff diving athlete in the planet, arguably across the men's front. I mean, she's got more records than Gary Hunt in some of the areas. And a great performance, staying consistent across all 4 dives, great landings on all of them, and that will also help her body across those 8 competitions as well. So if you're taking hard landings, that takes a bit of a beating on the body, so you want those good entries just to maintain the physical shape and to make sure that you can last throughout the season as well. It's not going to be easy.
And we talked
one of the longest seasons we had in a while.
Yeah, absolutely. And in reality, let's face it, Joe, we've talked about this before. If others in the field want to defeat Ree, they'll have to put together their best ever performance, which Molly has done. Let's go down to Frosty with Ree.
Rhiannon, another amazing showing here in Polignano and Mare. I mean, it's almost like you can't lose here. Is it the place? Is it your training? What makes this so magical for you?
Yeah, look, I don't think that's true. I think you have to turn up to every location and give it everything and do 4 consistent dives. But you know, I just love the energy of this place here in Polignano. You know, the crowd, the atmosphere up there. You stand up on the platform and you can see people just lining the edges of the cliffs and up in the rooftops. It's just magical. It's such a good energy.
Now, you've obviously got some new competitors coming here, this sort of new generation of athletes, Arnett, Molly Carlson. Do you feel like that motivates you? Does it add more stress? How do you deal with that?
Yeah, look, it's definitely motivating me, and it's really nice to see that this sport is growing in the way it is. And now, you know, you really have to put down 4 consistent dives to win the competition. And yeah, it definitely motivates me, and I really enjoy the competition. And I think this season is going to be an interesting one, so I'm super looking forward to it.
We're all excited to watch. Amazing job today. Back to you guys.
All right. Thanks a lot, Michael Frosty Snow. Here we call him Frosty, but Rhiannon Iffland. Great job, Frosty, and Rhiannon Iffland. So calm and collected, and wins World Series number 37 out of 46 starts. So Ree now 2 wins out of the 3 stops. Molly Carlson has a win under her belt. And I have a feeling we're going to see this type of thing all season long, Joey, with the Rhiannon Iffland, Kaylee Arnett, Molly Carlson, you know, top 3 back and forth, at least top 5 for sure. But Xanthi Panisi doing a great job coming back from some mental issues, not mental issues, but just some, you know, mental hurdles, which again, you mentioned we all have in these sports and these acrobatic sports. But Guzman and Van Katwijk, I'll tell you what, she's been very consistent in the stops that she's been invited to as a wild card diver, and Simone Leathead still hanging in there. The top 6 finish. Cosetti, the youngster, the 21-year-old Italian, 7th. And you see 8th through 12th right there. Very nice women's competition, and the highest scoring dive to add that one little extra point, Joey.
That's right.
Just one little extra point over the top.
Was one extra point that goes towards the series points. We can make it. It makes a difference. But this is a front triple half, scoring 3 9s from the judges. Absolutely smoking that entry. Molly's like, oh.
Well, these guys are like,
oh, this is serious.
2nd place in Boston, 2nd place here in Polignano, and now she's taking the extra point away from the big names.
No, that helps.
Yeah.
You never know what can happen. That one extra point can make all the difference. But look at that pie position. Great flexibility. What an athlete and what a dive.
You think they'll invite her back as a wild card diver to the next stop?
Well, she's already in, dude.
She's already in for the rest of the season?
She's locked in.
She's locked in. The men are coming up next. 11 men will be diving as we look at the overall World Series standings after 3 stops. Rhiannon Iffland now with 57 points. He earned 20 points for the win. Molly Carlson in 2nd. Kaylee Arnett, the World Series rookie, in her 2nd ever World Series, placing 2nd, putting her to 3rd overall. Leathead in 4th, and you see 5th with Carpenter, and right on down the line, the Women's World Series standing. Wonderful competition for the ladies. All right. New to the broadcast this season, our segment Tales from the Cliffs. The theme for this stop is one of the biggest goosebump moments in the history of the World Series, when Alessandro De Rose won here on his home cliffs in front of thousands back in 2017. Check it out. Welcome everyone to Polignano Mare, where the houses literally rise from the cliffs. We have a great competition ahead of ourselves. Of course, all eyes are on local Alessandro De Rose, the only Italian diver in the field.
De Rose's third time competing in Polignano and Mare proved that the third time is indeed the charm. In an intense and close battle, De Rose delivered an almost perfect dive in round 4.
Never made the podium before, and he is in the running to win the competition.
Look at the emotion.
Whoa, what a day. What a thrill.
What a dive from Alessandro De Rose.
Can you believe it? He's nailed the dive, and he's done it in front of his home crowd. This is a goosebump moment, a moment he'll remember for the rest of his life.
To this day, De Rose's win remains only the second ever home soil victory in men's redbull cliff diving competition.
Oh, and look and listen to the fans, Joey. They've been treated to a platter of first-class cliff diving. I've got goosebumps again. Let's hear from Alessandro De Rose on that special day he's with Frosty.
You know, it was such a really weird moment for me. I was so nervous. I was just saying to myself, come on, Alex, just do what you know to do and enjoy the moment and breathe. Do what you do normally in your training. And actually, after touching the water, my life changed.
I can't imagine a better place for you to get that win. But not only did you have an incredible audience in a beautiful location, your mom was there to greet you as you walked out to the platform. What did that mean to you?
You know, it was something special. My mom was always my biggest supporter. She was there since I started. I remember to be a little kid. I was only 5 when I started diving. And my mom was making sacrifice for bring me to the pool and cheering for me and having her next to me on my first win in the career, it was something special, like a special way to say thank you, Mom, for all you did.
Well, I can't imagine a more incredible way to start a legacy that's obviously started something here in Italy. Now we have a ton of incredible young Italian divers coming up. What do you think about this next generation?
I think that this generation, they are gonna move the sport in another way. They have a big potential. They can do really good from now to the future. So I'm really looking forward to see what they are gonna do.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Frosty. Great to hear from Alessandro. If you get a chance to just stop him on the street, say hello, one of the nicest guys you will ever meet. 3 rounds of diving. Joey already in the can on the men's side. James Lichtenstein leads after the 3rd round. Let's see how things went down for the gents before their 4th and final round.
And look at this beautiful shot of the men. Round 1. Diving directly from the balcony, and Jonathan Paredes smoking the entry and was leading after round 1. And currently after 3 rounds of diving, Jonathan Paredes sits in 5th position. Round 2, we're back to the platform. And how about this? The local Italian, Andrea Barnaba, smoking the entry and getting a 10 from the judge as well. And what position is he in the competition right now after 3 rounds of diving? Third position,
place.
right? 3rd position. And with relatively low degree of difficulty, that tells you how well he's executing these dives. Of course, he got a 10 on this dive. That speaks for itself. But this is the next generation, and I hope to see more of Andrea Barnaba in the competitions. But then impressing the crowds with the back arm stand 4.5. James Lichtenstein, no flash in the pan, leading the series currently, and now leading in this competition after 3 rounds of diving. So he's got 1 more dive to do. He'll show off the back quint somersault. And what an incredible performance by the American James Lichtenstein. So confident, so graceful. Man, I cannot believe how consistent he's been. He's been working hard, though. Very hard behind the scenes.
He still hasn't won. He's podium now 4 times, Joey, but he hasn't won the World Series. This was a hard landing for Nikita Fedotov yesterday. Unfortunate.
So this is a brand new dive for him. Back arm stand, 4.5 somersaults, under rotating. And so he's out of the competition at the moment. And we're going to wish him all the best for a speedy recovery. But again, this highlights the fact that this sport does come with some risks at times.
He is on
especially
site.
when you're doing new dives.
Yeah, Frosty talked to him. He is on site right now.
He's doing okay.
He's down hanging out, watching his friends dive. So he's okay, for those who are wondering if Nikita Fedotov was okay. So tough guy. So we have 2 scratches. So Baraldi and Fedotov, we just talked about him, out of the competition due to their injuries. And so now we have 10 men in this 4th and final round. So then we'll start it off with Alexei Prigorov. He was the lowest score after the 3rd round, so that's why he'll kick things off. And here are the top dogs and the top 6 that will run. So Heslop, Paredes, Jimeno, and then the top 3, Barnaba, the Italian in the top 3. And then Popovich will dive, followed by James Lichtenstein, who has the target on his back. Lichtenstein looking for his first ever Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series win. It's going to be tough for him when the Romanian shark, Konstantin Popovich, last year's World Series champion, is on his heels. But let's talk about this guy, Joey. Alexei Prigorov, 37 years old, the only Olympic medalist to compete on the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series. We'll kick it off on the men's side.
Very exciting athlete making that transition, like you said, from Olympic diving. So springboard diving and diving on a springboard, which is the one that obviously bounces up and down on 3 meters. That's only 10 feet. The transition from 3 meters to 27 meters is quite...
So I'm laughing at all the people everyone's perched everywhere. Like there's not
see
one
the guy
spot.
Like doing the puffer fish on the window going,
there's not one.
I can see it.
Every spot is filled, folks, to see the world's best here in Polignano, Mare as we kick off the men's competition. Their platform, 27.6 meters, 91 feet above the Adriatic Sea. If you've just joined us, Trace Worthington alongside Joey Zuber. Women's 4th and final round wrapped up. Rhiannon Iffland the winner. Now it's time for the gents. Prigorov putting one down to kick it off on the men's side, and I didn't see much of a splash. In fact, the water looked like it just came with him down underneath the ocean. Great job by Prigorov.
I don't want to say too much. On the next angles, I'll be able to analyze the dive better. But this is the optional dive round, folks. This is all about doing maximum number of somersaults and twists you could comfortably perform. So you always have to play that game of risk versus reward. The more somersaults and twists you perform, the higher the degree of difficulty tariff. But you still need to get good scores. If you do really difficult dives and you don't execute it well, it's not worth doing the dive. Sometimes you have to back it off and do easier dives. Let's look at the entry here. Pretty clean. Yeah, he's done a great job on this dive. And this particular skill, you need a lot of power on takeoff. You can see he's giving it everything he's got, jumping as strong as he can, twisting at the beginning. Now he's in the pike, feeling his way in the air. Because of that Olympic background, he's got fantastic aerial awareness. And that is a big question we get asked a lot by the locals and the fans, or people who don't know much about the sport. How do they understand where they are in the air? And that comes with time, repetition, spending a lot of time on the trampoline. The coaches will suspend them in a harness rig so they can actually practice the somersaults in a safe environment.
4 rounds of diving, so all 4 count. So that particular dive in yellow, 117. So the grand total for Prigorov, 352.50 when you add all 4 rounds of diving from the past 3 days all together. So that will kick things off and set the pace on the men's side. Coming onto the Lava Manakile Beach, that is the exit spot. So you have the jet ski that takes the divers over to the floating dock. It's very difficult. There's Nikita Fedotov right there. He's looking pretty solid.
Yeah, he's looking pretty good. The hair's looking good too.
He is rock starring.
No, they're very good friends, the 2 of them. They spent a bit of time in my house in the hot tub. So
you see him throwing that down, the chamois, Joey. Can you explain that as we look at Miguel Garcia?
El chamois. So the chamois is used to dry themselves off. So it's really important to dry off your legs. If you're doing a dive where you're doing a pike somersault, or, mostly those somersaulting and rotating dives, the risk is if you're not dry that you can slip out from the dive. That's why they have the chamois.
That's what I do when I'm doing yoga too. I like drying my legs off. Here he goes. Well, kaboom, going fast into the water. Miguel Garcia, the 33-year-old Colombian, celebrating his 32nd start on the World Series. 7th place finishes at the first 2 stops. Not bad, consistent.
And what I'm impressed with in terms of Miguel Garcia, He learned a new dive, I think it was last year or a few years ago, front triple, 3.5 twists, and now he's busting out, you know, the triple quad, which is a dive that Gary Hunt initiated. So it's great to see him progressing, trying out new dives. Here is the 3.5 twist at the beginning. He was actually doing that dive with one less twist, but he's actually getting a little bit confused between doing the triple twist and the 2.5 twist back. So he decided, you know what, I'm going to do back 3.5 twist, which feels a lot more similar to his other dive, the front triple. So it has a similar feeling. When he was doing one less twist, he was getting confused. He was kind of coming out a little bit late, somewhere between the 2.5 mark and the triple mark. So at one point he said, you know what, I'm just going to stick to triple twisting dives. That is a difficult thing in the sport to deal with that, especially in twisting dives. Aerial awareness and where to come out is really hard.
Miguel Garcia, once again, 5 judges. Pretty low scores there, 85.8, moving to second with 322.50. A lot of people ask us, are the judges former divers and professionals? The answer is yes. You have Anka Piper from Germany, well experienced. Sam Dorman, the Olympic silver medalist in diving, he's here. In Rio, he got a medal there. Simone Latimer, 3-time Olympic judge. Emil Aguilar-Onasan from Denmark. Julian Linus, 3 Olympic Games. He's judged. Solid crew. As getting the crowd pumped is the happy, friendly, and positive diver from Mexico, Sergio Guzman. Competed in the World Series since 2015. He's a wild card diver, though, since 2019, Joey. His first and only victory, Shirahama, Japan in 2016. It's like Jonathan Paredes getting set to dive. He will go number 6 in the running order. Miguel Garcia, the leader. Guzman, what's he going to do? He's going to do a spinning or flipping? Spinning or flipping, Joey?
Well, it's all about flipping with Sergio.
Yeah.
So some of the athletes prefer somersaulting and rotating dives. Some prefer twisting dives, but he does not feel comfortable with twisting dives. So he's like, you know what? I'm going to stick to my flips. So how many flips? Going to do back 4 somersaults in the tuck position. The tuck position is that ball shape. Pike is when the legs are straight. If you do the dive in the pike position, you will get more degree of difficulty. Feels comfortable doing it tuck. And look at that shot. 27.6 meters, 90 feet up. 9th story of a high-rise building is the equivalent of that platform, almost 3 times the height of the Olympic high board.
Lot of flipping. Whoa!
Air brakes on,
air
boy.
brakes, pulling the parachute right there. And that was a great save, Joey, from the naked eye. I mean, I watched enough. We both watched him throw his arms out and be like, get me down to the water.
And we actually talk about this a lot, and I've helped some of the athletes out in the past where we actually have to say, okay, well, what happens if you're rotating too fast, if you come out of your dive too late? You have to know how to adjust for it. So you have to train for it. See the safety dive, splash in the water, 2, 3, and comes out way too late in the dive. But the great thing about what he did is he put his arms up to slow it back down. Now, look at this in detail here. Here we go. Somersault number 1. Somersault number 2. Okay, there's 3, and he holds on too long.
Pull the ripcord. Pull the ripcord.
Put the arms above the head, so the arms will come above the head. Why? And that will make the body longer. It will slow the rotation down. I call that air brakes time. If he didn't do that, he would have landed fair on his buttocks, I dare say. Dear Jimmy. Great adjustment.
I can't say on the air what I was thinking. All right. So, Sergio Guzman replacing Cătălin Preda, the Romanian, who was injured in Boston, who had his birthday yesterday. Happy birthday, Cat, if you're watching. So now, 103.20. So Guzman, not bad scores on that. 352.80. So Guzman now in the top spot here on the men's side. All right, so Jonathan Paredes, another Mexican diver. 3 Mexican divers in this men's final round, makes his way through Polignano Mare village, the cobblestone walkways. This, again, if you just joined us, is the actual walk to the dive spot. This isn't a set-up camera shot of just like having fun. This is literally where Jonathan Paredes has to walk to get to that spot right there.
Great little pizza joint. You can get a little slice of pizza on the way to the platform if you want. Guzman and Martinez.
Yeah. How about this kid? 21 years old. Made his debut at the last stop in Boston, placing 4th, turning some heads there. How crazy is that? Not only was he in the competition with his idols in Boston, he ends up beating most of them out.
Yeah. I mean, I've known Gelato for quite a long time, spent quite a bit of time in Mexico, and known him since he was a teenager, and what a lovely young man, and what a talented athlete. Great to see the new guard, the youngsters, having a chance to show off their skills on the world stage, and they need that. They need that experience, that airtime to develop their skills in this sport.
So that right there is his symbol that he makes, that special hand sign that he has with his family to let them know he loves them and is thinking about them as he makes his way out onto the platform. Fellow friend, countryman, Mexican, Sergio Guzman supporting.
Fantastic shot. Bird's eye view. 27.6 meters up, 90 feet high. His last visualizations before the dive. Back 3 somersaults, 2 twists. The graphics on the left-hand side of the screen will tell you what dive they're doing, what direction they're taking off from, how many somersaults, then how many twists, and then what position and pike from top to bottom. That's how you read the graphics. 4.2. DD means degree of difficulty.
Martinez of Mexico.
Wow, what an
Look
entry,
at that.
huh?
He's saying, I might be a rookie on this series, and I'm only 21 years old, and I'm a wild card diver. But I'll tell you what, lights out for the young Mexican diver.
Dialing it
Acting
in.
like he's a veteran right now.
Right.
Joey said before Boston, his goal was to compete in one more World Series event this summer after Boston. He's already reached that goal.
Oh, I'd love to see him 7 more times, if you're asking me. And what an entry. We've got this great shot here as he slices through the water, nice and deep, right down to about 4-5 meters, 12 feet to 16 feet. Beautiful elevation, massive takeoff. And we know he's got the capacity to increase the degree of difficulty by adding more somersaults and twists in the future. But it's really important to develop your skills with the more simple dives, but impressing the judges, impressing the crowd, and impressing me with that splashless entry.
Right. The judges on the boat, they're hanging in there, not getting too seasick yet, rocking in the boat just below the platform, by the way. So they will weigh in on Martinez, the high and the lower toss. The remaining 3, you'll see right there, all 8s multiplied by the 4.2. So great score for his 4th round, added together with the first 3. So Martinez, 354.90, pulls into the top spot. 6 divers remaining, including his fellow countryman Jonathan Paredes, but now it is time for Aiden Heslop, one of the most solid divers, runner-up for the past 2 seasons as the King Kakili Trophy winner, coming off a huge victory at the last stop in Boston. Currently 2nd place in the World Series standings, 3 points behind James Lichtenstein. Here in Polignano, Mare, Joey, is where he made his debut. That was back in 2018. He was only 16 years old, the youngest ever. And that right there is that bridge that we've looked through, those camera shots. The top of the bridge, everybody lining up, every place and spot and piece of dirt and balcony and window is full of spectators. The heart rate, Joey. Did you have a high heart rate when you were diving, do you feel?
I didn't have the monitor on me, but I dare say yes.
Hey, I was going to say, was it pumping?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, every time you get on the platform. And I think Molly Carlson's probably more nervous
For her
than
boyfriend.
Aiden, for her boyfriend. That's right, her partner. Got a pretty big dive here. Back, pretty big, huge dive. Back 4 somersaults, 3 twists. DD 5.7. That's getting right up there, along with the heart rate.
Got the monitor on his arm. Heslop putting one down the Adriatic, absolutely piercing through the water. Molly Carlson likes it. Simone Leathead likes it. Fellow Canadians. Here's a guy who recently said, to Frosty, a reporter. He said, hey, I've been playing a lot of golf and actually had to back off on it because it was kind of tweaking my body in some different ways.
He's tweaking his glutes, to quote him. I know, we were cracking up about that. It's like, I feel fine cliff diving, but no, golf's shanking me up, let me tell you.
So a bunch of 7.5. So those are the ones he'll keep, as he'll drop an 8 and a 7, getting a ride back to Lama Matakile Beach.
Now this is a dive we've got to give it everything you've got. Aiden Heslop is such a fast twister. On the takeoff, he really has to drive it hard to make sure he has enough room to finish the dive. Very clean, a little bit short of vertical. Arms as fast as he can. He's got a really quick twist, wrapping across the body. Bang, out, straight into that pike. God, that's quick. Holding on, and that's where you see the water, and that's at the point you start to understand how much room I have left on the dive. Sometimes you come out and you're like, uh-oh, I'm in trouble. I'm either too fast or too slow.
Yeah.
Did a great job on takeoff. Fist pump. He knows he's done a great dive. Ever so slightly short of vertical, but should receive fairly decent scores.
So Heslop, 7.5s, but huge degree of difficulty. All right, so 128.25 on that dive. Add that together with the first 3 rounds. 385.15 for Aiden Heslop, and that's what he needed. He's right in the midst of the men's competition. Polignano, Mare, Italy.
I like the music. It's great.
Little population there. A small population, right on the Achilles heel of the Italian boot. Not too far from Bari, that's where you fly into, about a 45-minute drive. Short flight from Rome, by the way. Famous for its pasta, Joey. You and I have had a lot of pasta at this place. Lots of pasta.
Spaghetti vongole, that's my favorite.
12 Red Bull cliff diving competitions. Record. World Series is taking place here more than any other location. Also, can't forget about Domenico Modugno, the writer and interpreter of the famous song Volare, which means to fly. He was born here, so.
That's right. Yeah. Domenico Modugno.
Big statue of him right across the way. In fact, Johnny Paredes can see that statue from where he's standing right across. So Jonathan Paredes, who's done a great job here in Polignano Mare, I have to say, coming back. He was a scratch in Boston, removed himself from the competition, similar to Xanthia Panisi. Just had some mental challenges going there. Wasn't feeling good, pulled out of the competition. Not a bad decision, Joey, when you're 27.6 meters above the water, 91 feet. Withdrew, regrouped. Got some psychologists involved in it, some sports psych. Now he's back, led after the 2 rounds of diving, sitting in a great position here coming into round 4.
Yeah, he's done a great job with the resets, but now we are set for his dive. Running takeoff, forward 4 somersaults, 1.5 twist in the pike position. You hear the wind really starting to pick up now. Strong side wind.
You can hear it. Johnny Paredes, the rim master, and that is exactly what we know him for. And I've said this in many broadcasts. When you ask any diver out here, okay, male or female, and you say, who do you want to be like when you dive? They say, well, I'd love to be like Gary Hunt when I dive, but I'd love to enter the water like Jonathan Paredes.
I know, if you could pick all the different sections, you know, you would say, okay, who's the most powerful on the takeoff? Okay, I'll grab Konstantin Popovich, who's got the best form in the air. Actually, as a matter of fact, I would say Jonathan Paredes, form-wise in the air, huge emotion, that relief after the dive, raw energy, raw power on takeoff as well as he runs and leaps and pushes off the platform. Look at that, 90 feet up, 27.6 meters high, cracking his way through the water, disappearing act, vanishing his way into the waters of the Adriatic Sea. Arms above the head, why? To help generate the rotation into the pike position, twist in the middle, then re-enters the pike. Pretty unique way of doing that dive. You can choose to do the dive in different ways. More somersaults at the beginning, twists at the end. And speaking of the end, what a great way to cap off that dive.
I said on Instagram, Joey, after Boston, he had a big anxiety attack there. Couldn't control it enough to push forward with the competition. You know, you're a pro at this. I'm guessing you would agree with the decision from walking away from it. 3 9s on that boat of judges and a couple 8.5s. And he will And he, Joey loves it when I say that stuff. Anyway, the boat of judges. Couple nines, an 8.5 he'll keep. Johnny Paredes, what a comeback from Boston, 124.55. He is stoked, 387.85.
Ahead of Aiden, huh? Yeah, wow.
Yeah, ahead of Aiden. So, Jonathan Paredes, as I mentioned earlier, walking away from Boston, regrouping before this event, as we see Konstantin Popovich, who removed himself from the competition because of injury in Boston as well. Back in the mix, back in the scene, walk through Polignano Mare, getting ready for his dive. He will run number 9 in this group of men before James Lichtenstein. As we look at the men's platform, winding things down. What an amazing competition so far as Paredes leads with 387.85. The men's platform, 27.6 meters above the water, 91 feet. As we look at Carlos Jimeno. As a kid, spent a lot of time on the beach surfing, Joey, fishing, cliff jumping, which is one of the reasons why he became so connected with the ocean, freshwater, and cliffs. So this location in Polignano Mare fits Carlos Jimeno very well.
It does indeed. And that actually does play to his advantage, being accustomed to the environment, being accustomed to the ocean. He'll know how to read the ocean. Sometimes we have conditions where you've got these massive waves slapping against the cliff faces, and you do need to be able to read the wave and the conditions. But now it's time to watch him do this dive, which is back 5 somersaults in the tuck position. The heart rate is just way up there. Climbing up to 167 now. Whew. See if he can count the somersaults back at home. If he scores, let's say, consistent 8s from the judges, and above that, he can take the lead. Here we go.
Jimeno, that makes me dizzy as well. That's how you do it. That's how you get it done right there. Jonathan Paredes looking on as he leads, but now it's winding down to Jimeno and 3 others here in the men's final round. Rhiannon Iffland talking to Johnny. They're good friends. She won on the women's side. But Joey, what do you think of this dive?
Look, I was really impressed with the takeoff, the flight. However, the judges will sit at that perfect side angle to judge the dive. Good takeoff, good flight. Just the question remains is, how was the entry? And will it be enough to move ahead of Jonathan Paredes? Perhaps Jonathan Paredes has a chance to make the podium here in Polignano Mare. But let's look at Carlos Jimeno. Strong takeoff, canning the somersaults. 1, seeing the water for the first time, seeing the water for the second time, seeing the water for the third, then the 4th time. Now he needs to kick out here. Let's look closely at how he lines up in the water. A little hunched on entry. If he was a little taller, he would get higher scores. Ooh, gonna be tight.
I think they're going to get him on that just a little bit.
So.
I mean, everyone's diving so well. Same with the women's competition earlier. So 114.40. So that's not going to cut it for Jimeno when you add all 3 scores, all 4 rounds together. So 378.30 on the podium for now, with 3 divers remaining on the men's side. So Jonathan Paredes with a smile on his face, and he has regained some serious confidence as he leads the way with 3 remaining. So Paredes, Heslop, Jimeno, the top 3. To drop, Barnaba. He's never been in this position before, sitting in the top 3 coming into the 4th round. Then you have Popovich, who crawled his way back up the leaderboard after that first round. And then James Lichtenstein from the United States will dive last because he has the biggest points coming into the 4th round. So listen to the crowd here for Andrea Barnaba. Spectacular. spectator numbers, 40,000 in attendance. That has doubled the population here in Polignano and Mare. Needs 9.7s for first. Not easy.
No, it's not. He would need perfect 10s, in other words, from the judges if he were to move ahead. So Andrea's doing a relatively, and I say relatively, easy dive. In the future, we'll see him increase degree of difficulty. Forward 4 somersaults with half twist in the pike position. The youngster, the young Italian in front of the home crowd.
Jonathan Paredes leads. Oh, Barnaba! Ooh, what a great dive. I love his form, Joey. But I think Jonathan Paredes knows something that a lot of others know that are well educated in this sport.
Yeah.
Jonathan Paredes will see the podium. Most likely, we'll wait for the judges, but there's a really good chance that Johnny Paredes just landed on the podium for the first time since 2019 in Bilbao, Spain.
Yeah, he'll definitely be on the podium after this dive. So front quad half. And I have seen Andrea Barnaba at some other competitions absolutely smoke this dive. And he did score a 10 in this competition already. It would have been a magic effort to see 10s, but it is possible. And this is a bright star in the future of cliff diving. Such great technique, beautiful form in the air. The trampoline Barani, just a slight over rotation on entry. But we will see great things from him in the future, mark my words. When he gets the airtime, gets more experience, he'll be up there and he'll have the chance to increase the degree of difficulty. Great showing in front of the home crowd for Andrea Barnaba.
So much fun to watch. 98.70 for the junior world champion. 4th place, so off the podium for Barnaba with a 364. And regardless of what place, 1, 2, or 3, Jonathan Paredes will see the podium. First time since Bilbao, Spain in 2019. He's gone 15 competitions without a podium, removed himself from the competition in Boston to work just on his mental strength.
But what a turnaround,
and
right? Pulled out that last round, then you come back, and then you get on the podium. That is a comeback, folks.
I mean, even Aiden Heslop and the rest of the crew, they know what this feels like. All right, so still moving along here with 2 to go in this men's competition. You have the celebratory portion of it right now, the drama of Jonathan Paredes, now Konstantin Popovich, who got injured in Boston, making a comeback as well here in Polignano and Mare. Then you have James Lichtenstein, who's never won a Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series, dropping in after him.
Great point to set this up. 2 more divers to go. Konstantin Popovich up 27 meters high. Back 4 somersaults, 3 twists in the pike position. Degree of difficulty 5.7. His last mental block throughs before the dive. He's got a score 7.5 from the judges. There's his coach watching on. Here we go.
Wow, what an amazing comeback after withdrawing from the last stop after round 3. A hyperextended knee with 2 small cracks and a bone bruise, just muscling through it. Jonathan Paredes, he appreciates it. What What do you think, Joey? Is this going to pull into the top spot?
Well, competition of comebacks. I mean, seeing the condition that Konstantin Popovich was after that round 3 dive, and he says, I'm back. It is unbelievable. I mean, he worked so hard with his rehab. I was personally even doubtful that he'd come back, even to dive here in Italy, let alone dive that well.
I didn't think he'd be here. I didn't think he'd be here, yeah.
And the problem, and what caused the injury, was the impact. You'll see that here with this underwater shot. Bang! And his knee hyperextended there, but he holds it together. I mean, what a supreme athlete.
Talk about that 3-second free fall. You always talk about 85 kilometers per hour, 53 miles per hour, and he's got that hyperextended knee.
Man, I don't know how he does it. I mean, whatever he did with that rehab, you know, it's a magic physiotherapy, no doubt. Oh, crushing the entry. This guy is so impressive. Determined, hardworking, talented. That is an athlete right there. Pumped up after the dive, putting on a show for the Italians here in Polignano, Mare. Wow, wow, wow.
One of only 5 men ever to win the King Kakili Trophy. He did that in 2023 as we look at a bunch of 9s up there, including a 9.5. Jonathan Paredes has won the King Kakili Trophy. Most of the rest of them have won by Gary Hunt. Now, Konstantin Popovich waiting the scores from the judges. 151.05, absolutely massive on that. That'll be good enough for the top of the podium with 1 diver remaining. 418.65. So way ahead of Paredes in terms of points and really patting himself well before we see American James Lichtenstein, who has never won a single World Series competition in his short career.
This is exciting, and it is within his grasp. He can do it. The question is, can he handle that pressure? He's the last man on the platform. We're still looking at Jonathan Paredes, who's on the podium, and Konstantin Popovich. James Lichtenstein now.
Listen to this, the 29-year-old American, Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series leader. Right now, there is the leaderboard for this particular event as we look at James, the final diver. Popovich, Paredes, Heslop on the podium bubble. Let's see if James can fight off the Romanian shark. Remember, one way, Joey, to fend off a shark attack is for the shark to see you as a strong, credible threat.
That's right.
And I know you're the Aussie.
Yeah. We've got some
I live in Utah.
Yeah,
but
we've got some chompies. You just punch them in the nose. That's what we do.
All right, here we go. James Lichtenstein has never won a World Series competition, although he's been on 4 podiums. And the bells, church bells going off in the background.
Get the church bells. Let's look at the heart rate.
That'll get
166.
Well, that'll get his heart rate up, is what I'm saying. Here we go. Final diver.
Back Quint. He's got to get above 8.5s. Oof.
Pressure. Lichtenstein.
Oh, no way.
What? Come on.
No way.
What?
Wow. No
Putting
way.
the rest of the field on notice right there. It is a throwdown showdown here in Polignano Mare on the men's side.
Throwdown showdown.
Woo.
I like it. Man.
So there's the coaches hugging Popovich. Maybe they know something we don't. But I'm just going to wait for the judges on this one.
What a competition. You can't script this. Big tap on the board. But all that matters right now is what the judges think. He gave it everything he had. The back Quint somersault. Quint means 5 somersaults. Woo! Kicking it down. He's got great aerial awareness, comes from a trampolining background and a diving background, counting the somersaults, there for the 2nd time, sees the water for the 3rd time, sees it for the 4th time. Where do I need to kick out? Bang, right here. Smooth, gliding position, standing nice and tall on the entry. I'm impressed. Will the judges be impressed with this dive? A thrilling showdown here for the 4th and final round, for the 3rd stop of the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series.
James Lichtenstein, the American leading in World Series points. And I tell you what, performing the best he could under pressure. Popovich, though, with a beautiful dive. It's all in the hands of the 5 judges as Popovich looks on to see if he will win here here in Polignano Mare. Popovich winning the first stop of the series. Removed himself from Boston because of a hyperextended knee. Great stories unfolding. Jonathan Paredes removing himself from the Boston event. Now on the podium, along with Popovich, a 9 in there by Judge Anka Piper, and the rest 8.5s. This is going to be tight.
It will be very tight.
8.5.
Very tight.
132.60 Joey, so by 0.25, James Lichtenstein in second, and Popovich. The Constantine machine is back to operating at its peak performance. Wow. What a machine.
What a comeback and what a competition. But James Lichtenstein definitely threw it in the mix there. I mean, all we're talking about is one more half point from the judge for James Lichtenstein, and he would have won the competition. But he's still smiling and in a great position. Wow. What a cool competition. There's your winner, Constantine Popovich.
You just love watching the rest of the competitors congratulate there, Joey. Let's watch 4 rounds. Consistency is key, and consistency is Constantine Popovich.
And here's his round 1 dive directly from the balcony. I mean, he actually just missed up. He was back in the field a little bit there, did a great job climbing back up the ranks, back on the platform for the intermediate round, crushing the entry there. And in particular, it was the last 3 rounds that got him into this position. That is an athlete. Incredible pike position, coming out nice and early for the quad half. Honing in the entry. Well, that's, yep, okay, now we're looking at round 3, inward quad half pike. Changing it up, he would normally do his back armstand dive. I suspect he would have been doing that because of the knee injury, but made up for that with exquisite execution. Great athleticism, beautiful pike positions. That's round 3, but it did come down to the pressure moment. Round 4, his biggest dive, back quad, 3 twists, drilling the entry and winning by the narrowest of margins ahead of James Lichtenstein. The comeback king, Constantine Popovich, Romanian shark. He's a fierce predator. You don't want to be up against him in these, I wouldn't say murky waters, but clear waters of Polignano and Mare.
The shark bites again. So let's hear from Constantine Popovich, who's with Frosty at the town beach.
Constantine, an incredible win here. Now, obviously, you're dealing with an injury. You had to drop out of Boston. What did you do to get back in such a short amount of time?
Well, I would say I'm the recovery master. You know, I had so many injuries, and I just know what to do to come back stronger than ever, which I think I delivered today. And yeah, I hope to stay healthy. That's my main focus, and the rest will come.
You know, they're calling you the Constantine machine, but it's not just a physical game, it's a mental game. What's going through your head while you're up there?
I mean, many things, but before I dive, the only thing it's just repetition, what I've been doing for so many years, and of course hoping to put the dive down perfectly so I don't get what I got in Boston. So that was for today. But other than that, it's just you keep repeating yourself what you practice so many times.
Well, you obviously did just that. Another incredible showing. Congratulations. Back to you guys.
Thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Frosty, and nice job once again by Constantine Popovich. His 9th career World Series win, his 18th podium in 26 starts. So Constantine Popovich sealing the deal here in Polignano Mare, but what a dramatic men's competition with Popovich's comeback. James Lichtenstein, he remains a big story, Joey, and a threat on this series by 3 straight podiums now on the series. And then Johnny Paredes, congrats, buddy. That is a great comeback for you mentally and physically. Got to head into Martinez, too, and Guzman.
Staying strong.
The Mexican divers hanging in there, 7th and 8th. And we hope Nikita Fedotov and Baraldi are doing okay after their injuries, but the celebration begins. All right, and the best dive belongs to
Andrea Barnaba. So he'll get his extra 1 point towards the World Series standings. Killer dive, killer scores. 3 9.5s, 1 9. Who gave it the 9? Shouldn't have done that. Should have stuck with all 10s in my opinion. But look at the form. Look how flexible he is. This is the future of cliff diving, folks. Andrea Barnaba won the junior high diving championships when he was under 18 years of age.
I've been sitting next to you for years, Joey, and for the last couple of years, you're always talking about this guy.
Yeah, let's see this guy, man. Let's see more of him.
You're right on cue, by the way. You're right on cue. Nice work. So leading the way still, folks, James Lichtenstein of the United States remains the top dog on the men's side in the overall World Series standings after 3 competitions of 8. Popovich, though, right in the mix in second now. Great comeback for him. Heslop in third. And you have Martinez, in the top 6. Remember at the end of the season, permanent diver spots on the line, as we'll get into that here in about 2 events pretty soon. So next stop, one of 2 new locations on the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series. Northern Ireland's rugged Causeway Coast, about 2.5-hour drive north of Dublin, as the season moves towards the halfway point. Multiple takeoff spots. Joey, divers will need to display their skills off the cliffs before moving onto the platforms constructed at scenic Ballycastle Harbor for the final 2 rounds. That should be sweet. You can catch it all and all the good information on redbullcliffdiving.com. Well, until then, we say goodbye from Italy and the 101st stop of the history of the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series. Congrats to Rhiannon Iffland and Konstantin Popovich for pulling off big victories. For Joey Zuber, Michael Frosty Snow, and our entire production team, I'm Trace Worthington. Thanks for watching, and we will see you at the next stop, number 3, from the Causeway Coast of Northern Ireland.